looking at occupancy and inquiries today. I'm going to be leading the session. Hiding in the background, we do have Sam, the other trainer. He's be keeping a watch on any questions that you might have during the session. We will have a question time at the end, about 10 minutes at the end, but you can also ask questions during it. If you are asking questions, up at the top of your of the screen, probably on top of your screen, maybe in the bottom, you will have a chat option and a Q&A option. Use the Q&A option, not the chat option, if you can. That'd be brilliant. Okay, occupancy inquiries. So occupancy inquiries, different but connected. I'm going to go through this session. I'm going to show you the two different ways of adding a resident to CoolCare, and I'm going to show you the benefits of using the inquiry over just inserting, going to the residence record and just inserting a resident, which I will do in a few minutes. So if you do go and do that, go to resident and you add a resident, that will change your occupancy reports. That person will appear in your occupancy reports, and your occupancy reports are looking at who's in the home, either now or at some time period in the past. And for instance, here on my dashboard, I do have a widget about occupancy, and it's showing me 27 of 30. I've got 27 of my 38 beds are full. I got 27 residents. It breaks it down here by the different payer groups I might have. NHS, local authority, you probably have private as well. And it also shows me what's empty. And down here, it will show me what my average fee for the week is. It does have stuff here about inquiries, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. But the thing to notice is I've got 10 residents who are NHS, because in a minute, that's going to change to 11. Now, when I go and just add a resident, go into a residence record and insert a resident, it puts them in, it affects my occupancy reports. But if I go down the inquiry route, I get a lot more information, because just by going to residents and inserting them, I have no information about when we were first contacted, maybe that by the resident, say relative, when they first contacted us. How long did it take from when they first contacted us to when the first visit was? How long before the first visit to the first assessment? How long from the assessment to when they actually were admitted to the home? I've got none of that information, and none of the person's details would appear in any inquiry reports unless they've gone down the inquiry route. Okay, right. That's enough initial talk, and let's we go and actually do some stuff for you to watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you both ways very quickly of how you can add a resident to the system. I'm not going to go through the fields individually. This is just so you can see the result. Okay, so I'm going to go to residence record. I'm going to quickly put someone in. Let's insert. I'll pretend they came in on the 23rd. Put them in a bed. Hopefully I've got enough beds. Yes, I have. That's great. 31. I'm only going to fill in the fields I really have to here. So we're going to pretend Mr. David Hall is coming in. And I'm going to put in just the fields that are required. Oh, so we'll say he's married. He's male. Permanency type, permanent. Funding type, NHS. Because remember, we had 10 NHS beds were occupied. There'll be 11 now when we finish this. Residential, and I'm just going to go next on that. It comes up, is asking about resident details. So I'm going to put in here, I'm going to do, sorry, it's asking other details. We're just going to put in the average fee. Let's make one up there. And I won't even bother giving an address, I don't think. Actually, no, I will. Let's quickly give him an address. There we go. Okay, I'm going to save that. Now that person is now a resident. If I go Hall, there's David. Oh, I got two Halls. There's David. There he is. There's his record, basic record in there. But if I come out here and go to my dashboard, you can see on occupancy, my NHS beds have gone up to 11. Occupants, I had 27. I've now got 28. And he would now affect my occupancy reports. So if I go here and go to reports, you can see here that I have occupancy reports, and our friend David Hall would appear in those occupancy reports. But what he won't appear in is any of the uh, inquiry reports, because we didn't send him down that road. So let's send someone down the inquiry road so you can see how different it is and how much more information you get than just simply adding them directly into the residence record. Okay, there are several ways of doing this, but I'm going to go to now, we're going to go to occupancy management. Oh, just before I do that, just to show you this graph here, by the way, this pie chart, when I go to care home and occupancy management, those details are exactly the same details that are on that pie chart. It's an overview of occupancy. This is an overview of inquiries, which you may come back and talk about. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a new inquiry. We've only got limited time, so let's just go and add it. Now, there's more information to be put in here because now it's asking me who took the initial inquiry. So let's say it was Kelly. She took it. The job's been assigned to me. What date did this come in? Let's say it came in the 1st of November. How did they contact us? Oh, I'm going to say telephone. How did they hear about us? On Facebook. What are they looking for? So this is general information about the inquiry. Now, when I added the resident, I just added the resident, but now I've actually got a chance to add the person who made the initial contact with us. Yeah, it could have actually been the resident doing it for themselves, but more than likely it's a family member, a social worker, whatever it is. So we're going to pretend it is Mrs. I'm trying to think of a name now. Jane. Oh, I know. Hillman. There you go. So it's Jane Hillman. Oh, wrong field. There we go. Jane Hillman. And I'm going to stick an address in for her as well. We'll put the two of them in the same place. There you go. Where we put them? And Beach Lawn. There you go. Okay. So I'm just putting the basic information I have about our friend, Mrs. Jane Hillman, who's making the call. I can say what the relationship is between the person making the call and the person they're calling about. So it's his wife. By the way, you can actually do it so that if the person is ringing up about themselves, you can just copy the information down here by clicking that. All right, so let's put in the husband. So we'll say it's Mr. Oh, we'll do Simon Hillman. And again, you can fill all the information in. I'm just going to give him an address. And as I said, we'll have them living in the same house. There we go. Okay, so far I've got information about the initial contact with us. I've got information about who contacted us. I've got information about the prospective resident, the person they're contacting us about. If we come down here, I can also put in information about what their situation currently is, or when they first make contact with us. So I'm going to say, with a family member, they're doing this because they're future planning and they're looking for residential. I can also put in funding information. Now with the other one, I didn't put the funding information in until I was actually adding the resident to the home. But here I can find that information out months ahead of time. So maybe I can do any checks or whatever you need to do, but I can find out this way earlier. So I'm going to make it NHS again, because we know we had 11 NHS. This will make it 12 when we're finished. I'm going to say it's NHS, and it wouldn't be Leeds. I'm just going to say it's Leeds. There you go. And down here, I can put extra notes and stuff like that in. Okay. I've got 2 pages to fill in. I'm going to move to the second one. This one is about the initial contact. This one really is about, okay, what did we do? So the first thing is, have we sent them a brochure? I'm going to say, yes, we did. Okay, when did you do it? Well, we know they contacted on the 1st. We sent the brochure out on the 4th. What about a visit? Has the visit already happened by the time you're putting this information in? I'm going to say, no, it hasn't happened yet. Okay, is it planned? Yes, it is. Look, when's it planned for? And let's pretend it's planned for the 10th. There we go. And I can even say who's coming along. Okay, so that's it. That's my 2 inquiry screens filled in. I'm just going to complete the inquiry, and then you see the actual inquiry screen itself. And you can see here it's got information about when the inquiry happened on the 1st, when the brochure was sent on the 4th, who the prospective resident is going to be, who made the initial contact, and funding, permanency, and care types. I can also see over here that this inquiry has been active for 24 days because it started on the 1st, and it's just checking it's now the 25th. And this is in blue because it knows what's happened next. It's happy. It knows there's a visit. Okay, let me pop out of this for 1 sec. Go back here. On the occupancy one, you will see our NHS beds are still 11 because this person is in the inquiry pathway. They're not an occupant yet. Okay, so that's just vanished. Where's it gone to? What if our friend Jane Hillman rings up, or the son rings up, says, "Oh, we can't make that date. Can we change the visit date? How do I get back to the inquiry screen?" What you would do is go back to your occupancy management, and if I come down here, there's Jane Hillman, and I'm back on the occupancy screen again. Sorry, not the inquiry screen again. There's my visit, so I can click on that. I can open it at any time. And if I open that, I can rearrange it. Dead easy. So let's say they're going to say we can't come to the 17th. And it's because the prospective resident is unwell. So I'm going to save that. There we go. Okay, let's save that and come out of there. And you can see that the planned visit date has changed there. Just so you know, I'm not going to really go into any detail, but just so you know, on the dashboard, there are widgets down the bottom of the screen. If I can get to the dashboard, there we go. On mine, they're at the bottom, but there are widgets at the bottom, or wherever you want to have them, that track what's happening with your inquiries as well. Okay, but I'm going to just concentrate on this one up here. Occupancy management. And let's go back into that inquiry again. Okay, so what happens if there's stuff I have to do around a visit? What if I want people to do certain things before the visit happens, or I want to put notes on? Can I add other information in here? And the answer to that is yes, I can. What I can do is if I click on the visit, I do add entry, I can put a note in, and it might be date changed. So I'm going to say, son called to change visit date. There you go. And if I save that, there's a note. So that's nice and easy. There's a note on there. It's handy. But what if I want to put on a task I can check it was done? Let's say we do an actual task. With the task, I can put a date when it's due and who should be doing it. So I'm going to say call son to confirm new visit date. And if I save that, up here I can say, okay, when do you want this done by? Oh, well, they're coming on the 17th. They want it done by the 15th. Okay, who are you going to assign it to? Oh, let's assign it to Morris. And I can save that. So it records there that follow-up has to be done. It's in blue. It hasn't been done yet. When it's done, it would go to green. And what I'll do is I'll just do that now. When one of these tasks or one of these inquiry items are finished, I can click on that task here, for instance, and I can say I was completed on such a date. Obviously, I can't complete it in the future. We're going to have to pretend it was completed early, let's say on the 20th. There you go. And who completed it? Kelly. And if I save that, there you go. That's green. That follow-up has been done. I know that has been done. Okay, so what happens when it comes to the visit? How do I know that the visit has been complete? I'm just checking my time. Okay, so if I click here on the visit, I can say the visit has been completed. Again, I can't say the visit in the future. I'm going to have to pretend it was in the past. So let's say it was the 22nd. There you go. That's all been done. The visit's been done. This has gone red. It's warning you, it doesn't know what's happening next. So at some point, I might leave here and come back in to do the assessment. Add entry. So you can see this all works very similar. The screens are even similar. So I note a task. I'm going to do an assessment. When's the assessment planned for? Oh, let's pretend the 10th. Who's it been assigned to? Oh, Paula. Who's coming along? See, very similar to the visit. Save that. And again, with this, I can add a note and a task to it as well. By the way, as I'm adding these items here, you may notice this contact log is getting longer and longer. Everything I do here is recorded in this contact log. And this contact log can be exported to a CSV file. Okay, I'm going to pretend the assessment has just happened. There we go. When did it happen? Oh, it happened on the 23rd. Where did it happen? Now, I've got a choice here. I can either say that it's happened and everything's successful, or they came to the assessment, we can't help them, this is going nowhere. And if I do that, if I do no, it becomes a deactivated inquiry. It's still in the system, it's hidden away. You can get it, you can access it, you can access all the information. I'll say yes, we can help them. And eventually at some point, there's going to be an admission. So if I click on admission, so you can see again, it's all very similar. I'm going to add an admission. Again, when was it planned for? I'm going to pretend it's the future again. Who is it assigned to? Let's pick Sophie for a change. Did they pay a pre-admission reservation? Yes, they did. No, they didn't. And I'm going to save that. Now, the admission is different. When you put an admission on, it'll automatically put in an extra follow-up task for you, which is prepare for admission. So that's in case you have to go in there and you have to say, oh, clean room. Something that has to be done before the admission can actually happen. Again, if the person's coming in the 10th, you probably want that done by the 8th, and I can assign someone to the job again. Okay. There we go, it's all done. Right, and again, when that would happen, you click on it and say it happened. But I'm actually just going to go straight to the admission because I'm running out of time here. I'm going to go to the admission. I'm going to say we've admitted the person. I'm going to click here. I'm going to say, actually, we admitted them today. I'm going to save and admit. Now, remember, up to this point, this person is not an occupant of the home. Up to this point, they will not appear in any occupancy reports, or they won't appear in that occupancy widget either. But now they will, because when I do save and admit, you're going to see some screens that are hopefully familiar because we only saw them about 18 minutes ago. This is the same screens that we saw by going to the residence and pressing insert. So I'm going to put them into a room. There we go. 32. Do next. This screen, look, the information is already filled in. It's already filled in because it's picked that up from the inquiry and it's added in here for us. There's two fields that I missed when I was filling in the inquiry screen that I didn't think I'd need, or I forgot I need: the married and the sex one as well. That's male, isn't it? Yeah. And if I do next, again, I'm just going to put in the fee. You can see here it's brought the address over. That's why I put the address on, so you can see it coming over. And if I save this, once I save it, and we go here and we go Hillman. There we go. There's Simon. Simon is now an occupant of the home. And if I go to my dashboard, NHS, I've now got 12. Occupancy, residents, I've now got 29. So 29 of my 38 beds are full. Now, as you can see straight away, I'm going to show you a bit more as well, but you can see straight away that I got a whole lot more information by doing that. So I now can look at my inquiry reports, which we'll look at in a sec, and I can get information about how long it took to do things, how successful our inquiries are, how many inquiries die halfway through, how many actually successful and end up with people coming into the home. So let's have a look at that now. If I do care home and I go to reports, I'm just going to run two of the reports just to show you. So admission and discharges, all the admission and discharges in a certain date range. Average occupancy, which I'm going to run in a second. And over here, we have occupancy level. So how many people were in the home at any particular date and time. But if I do average occupancy, that's quite a nice one. Let's go back here to between the 1st of July and today. Let's do that. Let's go up as a PDF, so nice and easy to see. Eventually, in the fullness of time, it will appear. Just turn it back on my stopwatch so I can see 26 seconds. Okay, right. So I can see here that it's done it by month, how many days are in the month. It's showing me beds, the average. Total number of beds I had available at those different times, how many were in use, and how many were free. It does the same for the slots, total, in use, and free. And for the fee, it shows me the total fee for each of those months, the average weekly, and if I've made any losses. And there were two nice graphs here to show me occupancy was doing really well. That's my thing stop. Okay. Occupancy was doing really well. It's dropped down here a bit, but it is starting to come back up. But my average fee is doing quite well. In fact, it's gone up. It hasn't gone down at any stage. But remember, that's occupancy. So even the first person we put in, who I can't remember their name now, something Hill, wasn't it? Or Hall. That person will appear in this report. They will not appear in the report we're going to run next. So when it comes to inquiries, you got inquiry contact details. That's details about the resident and the prospective resident and the person who made the inquiry. Full inquiry details, that's just a dump of all the details into a CSV file. But if I do inquiry performance and we pick the same dates, and make that a PDF again, so it's easy to see. Don't forget, the very first person we put in, I can't remember, that was Jane Hall. That person will not appear in these reports because we went to resident, we just did insert. But the second person we put in will appear in here. Okay, so for my home, it's broken into my different funding types. Total number of inquiries that have come through those individual funding types. Number of the ones that have come through that have been admitted. Now, I'm successful, all mine are admitted, but it could be NHS. I could have 20 here, but only 6 were actually admitted. A number of active inquiries. So I've got none active at the moment, but if I was running this and the inquiries were halfway through, it would show me how many were active. Inactive, they're inquiries that got so far and then kind of died off on you. Average number of days. So I can see here for the NHS, it on an average at my home, it takes 21 days. That's pretty quick from when the phone call happens to when someone is actually admitted. Percentage of inquiries, I'm really successful, 100% from all those. Obviously yours, I think in the real world will be a bit different, but it would give you a good idea of how successful inquiries coming through these different payors is. Percentage of inquiries that are active, and percentage of active inquiries that are inactive. So I've got none in those fields at the moment. But you can see already, you can get a huge amount of information you can capture by going down this particular inquiries road. Okay, didn't do too bad on that one. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say to you at the moment. Now, we're not shutting it down. We're not going to disappear. Well, my face will disappear, but what we're going to do is myself and Sam are going to stay on now till 2:30. So if you've any questions you want to ask, click on the Q&A, and myself and Sam will answer them as best we can. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from that. Okay, bye from me for the moment.